Welcome back to the Keiser Report. I'm Max Keiser. Time now to go to Los Angeles and speak with Steve Beauregard of GoCoin.com. Steve, welcome to the Keiser Report.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for having me.
All right, fantastic. First of all, it looks fantastic in LA, nice and sunny, not like here in London where we're caught in perpetual rain clouds. I'm very jealous. But anyway, my first question is, what is GoCoin?
So GoCoin, we're a payment processor for Bitcoin and other alternative currencies. And we process payments for online merchants and similar operators that want to take Bitcoin as a payment method.
All right, now, Steve, I guess when we go to various crypto conferences, Bitcoin conferences, etc., the whole focus is on Bitcoin. With GoCoin, however, you're one of the very few companies working in the altcoin market as well. Is this, what kind of growth do you see in the altcoin market in terms of merchant acceptance?
So we've definitely signed on a number of merchants, such as Cheap Air is now taking Litecoin and Dogecoin alongside Bitcoin. And I'm a firm believer that it's too early to make the call whether Bitcoin is going to be the big winner or one of these altcoins will emerge as a formidable competitor. There's a lot of altcoins that are coming out that are far more interesting than the ones we've seen thus far. So it's too early for us to call. So we built the platform that can take any of these currencies.
Now, you mentioned Litecoin, you mentioned Dogecoin. What do you go through, what kind of process do you go through to select an altcoin for acceptance on the GoCoin platform?
Yeah, so there's a few tests that we look for. Of course, we need liquidity because our operators and merchants typically want to be paid in their local fiat currency, be it USD, euros, or pound sterling. And so we need liquidity, number one. The second thing we look for is community and developer support. Are there enough people that have enough interest in this coin that they'll keep innovating and fixing any bugs that may come about? It has to have that sort of that buzz around it as well.
Now, for example, we started a coin called StartCoin, which is designed expressly for crowdfunding. It also pays free coins every Friday. It's starting to get a lot of traction now, crowdfunding projects. People are buying StartCoin. Would that be eligible for your platform?
You know, I'm a huge fan of crowdfunding. If you may recall, prior to starting GoCoin, I was involved in trying to initiative of the California Stock Exchange and the Cal Accelerator, and so I'm a big proponent of those. What's interesting about StartCoin is I looked into it a bit. I like the fact that you're actually making interest payments, and there's something beyond just sort of the acquire the coin and hold on to it. It actually has some transactional qualities to it. So yeah, we'd be interested in taking a closer look.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Okay, well, I'm sure everybody on the StartCoin front's going to be happy about that. Now, what other trends can you see in terms of this altcoin market? Because it is, people can look at price signals for stocks and bonds and commodities, and they come up with some kind of picture of the economy. And when you're looking at the altcoin market, you're seeing Dogecoin, Litecoin, you're seeing all kinds of coins. What are some of the interesting trends that you see? Because you probably have the best view of all the crypto market in the world because of your platform. What are some of the trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, it is interesting. As the prices of any of the coins drop, the spending definitely slows down. We see that as an absolute trend. And of course, conversely, as the prices go back up, the spending goes back up. So they're getting people get more value out of their coins. So some of the characteristics that I think are important, one of the fundamental problems we have with Bitcoin is most of the people that have it want to hold on to it because it's deflationary in nature and they think it's going to be worth more tomorrow, so why would they spend it today? So what's interesting about some of the altcoins is this more transactional quality to it, where people will actually be incentivized to spend it or to use it or to donate it, and therefore less apt to just sit on it and hold it as a storage of value.
All right, Steve, let's talk about the transactional nature of cryptocurrencies and the benefits on the merchant side, because I'm thinking of some stories, for example, Home Depot. They're the latest in a long line of retailers to have a security breach of customer credit cards. In Home Depot's case, it was 56 million customers. So from the merchant side and the Home Depot side, doesn't it behoove them to start looking at crypto as a way to get rid of this credit card hacking problem?
That's right. The fundamental difference between a credit card and a digital currency like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Doge is that in the case of credit cards, you're storing the ability to pull finances from somebody's account. You can actually pull it out, and you're storing those credentials. So if somebody hacks into it, they can get to it. The beauty about digital currencies is it's an intention of the individual to push their money out to this network, which then gets picked up. So it's a fundamental flipping of the holding on to my credentials and pulling my money out versus me intentionally pushing it. So from the merchant standpoint, this is the way they should want to be paid. It's lower cost. There's no chargebacks. You've eliminated a number of problems with this like PCI compliance and having to store the credentials and giving the individual the power to control their own money.
Okay, and once again, GoCoin is a platform that is coin agnostic. So any of these crypto coins, and there are probably 200 of them or more, you will potentially be the place to trade or to use as on the merchant side for any of these coins. But whether you're talking about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Startcoin, they all rely on something called the blockchain. And just for those who might not be too familiar with the blockchain, I know it's at the heart of the special sauce, so to speak, of the Bitcoin experience. Can you just give us the
That's right.
1-minute potted version of the blockchain?
Sure. The blockchain is actually the fundamental invention that's the most interesting part here. It's a public ledger of every single transaction that's ever taken place in any of these coins. So you can trace from one wallet to another wallet how much moved and exactly when, and what the value was of the coins at that point. So that is what is at the base of it. And what's really interesting is, a lot of the worries of the banks and a lot of the worries of government regulators and so forth is the ability to launder money. Well, I submit that you'd have to be nuts to want to launder money when you have a public ledger like the blockchain that's recording every single thing that you do. So think of it sort of like DNA evidence. There's technology in the past that didn't exist, and then you fast forward now 30 years, they've used some of the old evidence and been able to piece these cases together because the technology gets better and better. So with the recording of every single transactions, I actually think governments should love this. This is really to their advantage. It's much more traceable than cash, and that invention is also what sort of cements in history every single transaction.
Steve, here in London, we've got another accounting scandal with a very large retailer named Tesco. They were caught doing what many corporations do. They're booking profits in the near term. They're deferring losses and costs out into, in some cases, infinity. And the accounting firms that help them, the four big ones, the names of those four big ones are known. Is the blockchain technology potentially going to be a disruptor to these four big accounting firms that can't seem to wrap their mind around the fact that they have to abide by some legal precedents, the same way that the blockchain technology may put companies like Western Union out of business because the cost of sending money overseas on remittances using your crypto technology is 1/100th the cost. So am I correct in saying that Western Union could be disintermediated out of existence, and could these big four accounting firms also be challenged with the transparent blockchain technology, Steve Beauregard?
Yeah, it's interesting. The transparency now of the blockchain will fundamentally change a lot in accountability. People will be more accountable for when they've moved money from one place to the other. I can't speak to exactly the situation with the accounting firms, but certainly for public companies, I see this technology as changing many different industries and not just merchants and operators that are dealing with online transactions.
So with GoCoin, it's of course a merchant processing platform for cryptocurrencies. You've had a lot of uptake in Asia, and is that still the case where that's kind of your hot market at the moment, and what are the trends there?
Yeah, Asia's been a good market. I wouldn't call it great. The U.S. market is still somewhat dominant in terms of the transactions that we see, and Europe definitely coming on very strongly as well. But this is a worldwide currency. There's you're breaking down borders. You're giving worldwide access to websites. People that could never shop on Western sites, for example, out of Southeast Asia, can now suddenly begin to purchase things. And that's really sort of levels the playing field for a lot of people around the world. So I think that as we start to see some markets where people will literally go out and buy coins simply to use them in a transaction, that's going to be the big tipping point for Southeast Asia in particular.
All right, now I recently caught up with you actually at the Crypto Valley Summit in Isle of Man, and you guys are actually, I believe, domiciled in Isle of Man, or you have a big presence in Isle of Man. Can you talk about why?
Sure, yeah. We have set up a center of operation in Isle of Man, and mostly because the government has been very open and accessible to cryptocurrencies. They see it as a very big play for them. They have engaged all different elements of the, from financial regulators, gaming regulators, to the Department of Economic Development, and the government is sort of all in. Even to the point where they announced last week that they're going to accept digital currencies as a form of payment for taxes, for parking tickets. I mean, that's really exciting. I mean, you now have large publicly traded institutions and governments, looking to accept these coins because they recognize that this is a superior way to make payments online.
And your co-founder of GoCoin, Brock Pierce, of course, gave a speech at the Crypto Valley Summit. He made the reference that Isle of Man can now be the capital of crypto. Would you agree that of all the territories in the world that are seeking or they're looking for regulation, whether it's in New York or different countries, it looks like Isle of Man could be on the bleeding edge of crypto and really take the mantle and be the capital of crypto. Your thoughts?
Very much so. I think Isle of Man is in the pole position right now. They have taken the initiative. They held that conference last week, which was absolutely tremendous. We had everything from service providers to government to companies like GoCoin and other companies in the ecosystem, all there, and there was just a buzz. The room was abuzz with people talking about the opportunities and what it can mean to the island. And so I think that it's been a really smart move on the part of the government there, as well as the people that are after developing jobs, job creation, and so forth for the island, and very, very smart. But there's many areas in the world that are also taking progressive looks. And I think what we see in New York is a bit oppressive. And I think if New York really wants to participate, they need to open up a bit and realize that they need to think a little bit differently right now.
And you mentioned crowdfunding earlier. My understanding is that you're actually doing a crowdfunding some equity in your own company. How's that going? Okay,
yeah. So we're with crowdfunder.com. We have a initiative going right now. I think we have a little bit over $900,000 that's raised, and we've opened that up to $2 million now. So quite exciting.
All right, fantastic. All right, Steve Beauregard of GoCoin, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thanks, Max.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, and Stacy Herbert. I'd like to thank our guest, Steve Beauregard of GoCoin.com. If you'd like to get in touch, tweet us at Keiser Report. Until next time, bye, y'all.